Imagine writing a song while staring at a restaurant's happy hour menu, or getting physically thrown out of a nightclub by a bouncer, and going home furious to write an anthem that would top the charts in 11 countries. Or waking up one morning to discover that a throwaway song you recorded as a joke in 10 minutes had just knocked the Beatles off the #1 spot and sold 6.5 million copies. These are the songs that ruled the radio for one blazing summer, one wild year, or one unforgettable cultural moment.
Eileen.
And then, almost without warning, vanished. Not because they were bad, but because sometimes lightning only strikes once, and the world moved on before the smoke even cleared. Welcome back to Rhythm Origins. I'm counting down 10 of the biggest, most infectious, most unbelievably forgotten one-hit wonders from 1975 to 1991. And I promise you, by the time we get to number 1, you are going to be pulling out your phone to look up where these people went. Number 10. Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band, 1976. It started with a restaurant menu. Bill Danoff was having lunch at Clyde's in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. Looking at the happy hour specials, spiced shrimp, hot brie with almonds, all listed under a heading that said, Afternoon Delights. Afternoon Delight. He went home, turned that phrase into a folk pop song about something far cheekier, recruited his wife Taffy and 2 other DC folk singers to form the Starland Vocal Band, and watched the entire country sing along, completely obliviously, for the whole summer of 1976. Started out this morning feeling so polite, I always thought. Afternoon Delight hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 on July 10, 1976. Skyrockets in flight. Right in the middle of America's bicentennial weekend, with a lyric about skyrockets in flight that every grandmother in America assumed was about fireworks. Radio stations played it hourly for 2 months. Not one major station ever flagged it. The band then won the Grammy for Best New Artist, beating out Boston, and were handed their own CBS summer variety show, with an unknown comedy writer named David Letterman as a regular on the writing staff. The show lasted exactly 6 episodes. Starland Vocal Band broke up in 1981. Both couples in the group divorced shortly after. Their own member, Taffy Danoff, later called the Grammy for Best New Artist basically the kiss of death. And she wasn't wrong, starting what became a lasting industry superstition about that award's curse. Afternoon Delight never actually died, though. It's been parodied in Anchorman, South Park, Boogie Nights, Good Will Hunting, and The Simpsons. A song that smuggled the most obvious innuendo in pop history past an entire nation, on the nation's biggest birthday, and never once got caught. Number 9. Convoy by C.W. McCall.
Well, we rolled up Interstate 44 like a rocket sled on...
1975. Nobody heard of C.W. McCall because C.W. McCall didn't exist.
Chi-town, them bears was getting smart. They'd brought up some...
He was a fictional character invented by a commercial jingle writer from Omaha, Nebraska, named Bill Freeze. A tough-talking CB radio trucker who'd been created for a bread company advertising campaign in 1974.
By the time we got into...
And the ads were so popular that Freeze decided to write a real song using the character. Convoy told the story of a massive truck convoy rolling across state lines, thumbing its nose at law enforcement, speaking in the crackle and slang of CB radio.
There's bugs on the bumper. They even had a bear in the air. I says, calling old.
And it arrived at the exact moment when CB radios were becoming the underground communication network of working-class America.
Truck says, here's the duck. We about to go a-hunting bear.
Right after Watergate had demolished trust in government, and a nationwide truckers' strike had made truckers feel like folk heroes. Convoy hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and the country chart simultaneously in January 1976.
This here's a rubber duck. You got a copy on me, Big Ben?
A crossover almost nobody had managed before, and sold over 1 million copies in its first run.
Big Ben, what's your 20? Omaha. Well, they ought to know what.
The song single-handedly triggered a CB radio manufacturing boom, so overwhelming that retailers could not keep units on their shelves. CB slang entered everyday American speech. Breaker, breaker, what's your 20? Keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down.
We went for broke with 1,000 screaming trucks and 11.
And stayed there for years, almost entirely because of this one 3-minute novelty record.
I says, Pigpen, this here's a rubber duck. We just ain't going to pay no.
A 1978 movie named Convoy followed, directed by Sam Peckinpah, starring Chris Christopherson, costing far more than the song made and receiving deeply mixed reviews. And Bill Fries himself went on to serve as mayor of R.A., Colorado,
long-haired friends of Jesus in a chartreuse microbus,
run for governor of the state, and mostly disappear from music entirely. The fictional C.W. McCall never had another top 40 hit.
Keep the bugs off your glass and the bears off your tail. We'll catch you on the flip.
Convoy was the song, the moment, the phenomenon, and then it was over, leaving behind a generation of Americans who still instinctively reach for 10-4, Good Buddy, as if it means something, because for 1 year in the 1970s, it absolutely did. Number 8, Funky Town by Lips Inc., 1980. A wedding DJ from Minneapolis who was bored with Minneapolis wrote a song called Funky Town because Funky Town was his private nickname for New York City, the place he dreamed of escaping to. His name was Steven Greenberg. His day job involved managing a family storage business and spinning records at parties and weddings. And in 1979, he decided to write his own disco single, the kind of simple, bulletproof earworm that would work anywhere in the world. He booked time at Sound 80 Studios in South Minneapolis, the same studio where Bob Dylan had recorded Blood on the Tracks 4 years earlier, and called in Cynthia Johnson, a former police department secretary who had also been Miss Black Minnesota, 1976, and had spent years singing alongside a young Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis in a local band called Flight Time. Cynthia Johnson came in, sang the vocal in one session, and the result hit #1 in 28 countries simultaneously in 1980, becoming one of the most internationally dominant pop records in disco history. And here's where the story becomes almost poetic. The band Johnson had walked away from, Flight Time, soon recruited a new singer named Morris Day, changed their name to The Time, and provided the creative backbone for Prince's most legendary era. Multiple people in the Minneapolis music scene have confirmed on record that Funky Town, going to #1 on the R&B chart before any Prince solo record had achieved that position, genuinely bothered him, and that the competitive fury it sparked may have been part of what propelled him toward Purple Rain and beyond. Cynthia Johnson, the voice everyone knows, the woman who sang the hook that defined the end of disco, was never once asked to appear in any of the original official music videos. All of the early Funky Town promotional videos features unidentified women lip-syncing to her recording without her knowledge or authorization. Steven Greenberg, who wrote an entire song about needing to escape Minneapolis, eventually dissolved the band in 1985, left the music industry, and went into web design in Minneapolis, where, as far as the records show, he stayed. Number 7, 99 Luftballons by Nena, 1983. The idea was born at a Rolling Stones concert. June 1982, West Berlin. The wall still standing. East German soldiers still watching from the other side. And the Rolling Stones released hundreds of helium balloons into the crowd during the show. Nina's guitarist Carlo Carges stood in the open-air Waldbühne Theater and watched those balloons drift toward the horizon, shifting and changing shape in the lights, looking almost like unidentified spacecraft floating toward the Soviet sector. He started thinking, what if a radar screen somewhere picked those up? What if a general looked at the blip of 99 balloons and reached for the red phone? He went home and wrote the lyric for a song about how the end of the world could start by accident, with a toy, a pop concert, and a moment of paranoia. The German record label had absolutely no intention of releasing 99 Luftballons in America. Then Rodney Bingenheimer, a DJ at Croc in Los Angeles, found a copy of the import single and played it, and it climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in March of 1984. Held from the very top only by Van Halen's Jump. They also recorded an English version called 99 Red Balloons with new lyrics by an Irish songwriter, but American radio mostly ignored it and kept playing the German original, making it one of the only instances in pop history where the foreign language version of a song outsold and outcharted its own English translation in America. Nina themselves disliked the English lyrics, said the translation, missed the political point entirely, and never performed 99 Red Balloons live. Not once, ever. Carlo Carges, who wrote those now iconic words while watching balloons drift over a Cold War border, died in 2002 at the age of 50, before the song's streaming renaissance, before the geopolitical anxieties that would bring it back to playlists worldwide. And in 2006, during a VH1 charity auction for Hurricane Katrina relief, someone donated $35,000 to have both the German and English versions play on repeat for a full hour. One of the most expensive single-song television requests in broadcast history, for a song about 99 balloons. Number 6, Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell, 1984. Kennedy Gordy was 18 years old, estranged from his father, living with his father's ex-wife, and absolutely determined to make it in music without a single favor from the most powerful man in the industry. His father, Berry Gordy, the founder and CEO of Motown Records. He invented the name Rockwell, adopted a fake British accent for interviews, and even for some of his vocals, and submitted his demo to Motown without telling anyone who his father was. The label signed him. Berry Gordy called his son afterward, confused, asking how the deal had actually happened. The song Rockwell had written was a funky, paranoid piece about feeling watched everywhere. In the shower, by the neighbors, by the IRS, and it had a chorus that was just slightly beyond his own vocal range. So he went to his childhood friend, played him the song over and over, maybe 8 or 9 times, by Rockwell's own account, and eventually asked if he wanted to sing the hook. The friend said yes. He sang it uncredited on the record sleeve, with no announcement, as a favor. Michael Jackson, the most famous human being alive, in the middle of the Thriller era, casually singing the most recognizable 4-word hook in the song. Somebody's Watching Me hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1984, topped charts in Belgium, France, and Spain, and became the defining Halloween party anthem of the next 4 decades. Lenny Kravitz confirmed in his memoir that Rockwell had played him the song first at Beverly Hills High and asked if he wanted to sing it, before eventually doing it himself. Berry Gordy, who had once told his teenage son the demo wasn't anything special, heard the finished version with Michael Jackson's chorus and, in front of witnesses, turned to his son and said, simply, "Aw man, you did it." Rockwell released 2 more albums, then walked away entirely, saying he wanted to be a regular guy. leaving behind a song so permanently embedded in pop culture that millions of people who know every word of it have no idea they're singing along with Motown royalty. Number 5. The Safety Dance by Men Without Hats, 1982. One night in Ottawa, a bouncer threw Ivan Doroschuk out of a nightclub for doing the pogo. That punk-era dance where you jump straight up and down in place like a human pogo stick, to the B-52's Rock Lobster, while everyone else on the floor was doing the steady, safer disco two-step. The bouncer's reason was explicit. Doroschuk's dancing was a safety hazard to the other patrons. He went home, still angry, sat down, and wrote The Safety Dance. A synthesizer protest anthem for the right to dance however you want, in one sitting, without planning for it to be a single at all. The song climbed to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in September of 1983 and topped the US dance chart. But what made it immortal was the music video. Director Tim Pope took Doroschuk to the English village of West Kington in Wiltshire, where the band had no connection whatsoever, purely for the visual, and filmed him wandering through a medieval village scene with Morris dancers, a Punch and Judy sideshow, a maypole, and a little person jester played by Mike Edmonds, who had also appeared in Return of the Jedi, Flash Gordon, and The Dark Crystal. None of the other band members appeared in the video at all. The mysterious blonde woman dancing alongside Doroschuk throughout the entire video had her identity kept secret for 30 years, until 2013, when she was finally identified as Louise Court, who by then was editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine. With no idea her dancing had been on heavy rotation on MTV for 3 decades. The song has since been referenced or parodied in The Simpsons, South Park, Futurama, Family Guy, and Beavis and Butthead. We can go if we want to. Night is young and so. Almost certainly the only piece of pop music to unite the entire animated comedy universe under a single cultural reference. We can dance if we want to. We can leave you. All because one bouncer in Ottawa told a Canadian musician that his dancing was unsafe. Number 4. Come On, Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners, 1982. Kevin Rowland had lost nearly his entire band by 1981, driven away by his notoriously iron-fisted leadership. Long rehearsals, zero compromise, absolute control, and the 2 singles his rebuilt lineup had released had flopped. He told a journalist flatly that if the next song didn't work, he was going to find another way to make money. The song he was betting his entire career on had no synthesizers at all. Fiddle, banjo, accordion, and brass, in the middle of the most synthesizer-obsessed year in pop music history, and his own record label, Mercury, didn't want to release it as a single. A radio plugger fought that argument for months and eventually won it. Come On, Eileen became the best-selling single in the United Kingdom for the entire year of 1982. All of 1982, won the Brit Award for Best British Single, and knocked Michael Jackson's Billie Jean off the top of the US Billboard Hot 100 in April of 1983. The explosive moment near the end when the tempo doubles and the fiddles take over, the moment that makes every wedding dance floor erupt, was deliberately modeled on the ancient Hebrew folk wedding song, Hava Nagila, a fact almost no one who has ever loved this song has ever been told. The girl playing Eileen in the video, Ma Chère Fahy, is the sister of Bananarama's Siobhan Fahy, and Come On, Eileen remains her sole acting credit on IMDb to this day. Roland later admitted that the entire album's Celtic soul sound was largely inspired by ideas borrowed from the bandmate he'd replaced, Kevin Archer, whose Blue Ox Babes demos Roland had heard and essentially absorbed without acknowledgement. He eventually settled royalties with Archer quietly. Dexy's Midnight Runners never had another American hit. In the United States, Come On Eileen was their entire presence. In one song, Forever. And still, more than 40 years later, it plays at every wedding in the English-speaking world. Sounds like nothing else from any year, and makes every room dance whether they plan to or not. Number 3, I'm Too Sexy, by Right Said Fred, 1991. Richard and Fred Fairbrass had been playing music since the 1970s, with essentially nothing to show for it. They'd opened for Joy Division at the Factory Club in Manchester, toured with Suicide, and Richard had even played studio bass for David Bowie and Mick Jagger. But by the late 1980s, they were running a gym in London and gigging to small crowds who didn't much care. After a failed trip to New York, they came home changed. They'd seen the fashion modeling world close up, seen the extraordinary self-absorption of the fitness culture scene, and decided to write a song that made fun of all of it. One hot night in their guitarist's apartment, Richard Fairbrass took his shirt off and joked he was too sexy for it. That line became the hook. The song was always meant as satire, a takedown of vanity culture, not a celebration of it, though not everyone who heard it got the memo. Every major record label passed. The brothers borrowed money to finish the recording, cut costs by recording at night in a studio that had gone into receivership, and released I'm Too Sexy independently on Tug Records in July 1991. In the UK, it was held off number 1 for 6 consecutive weeks by Bryan Adams, who was running what became the longest-reigning chart topper in British music history. In America, it hit number 1 for 3 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, and eventually topped the charts in 32 countries. The debut album sold 7 million copies worldwide. Taylor Swift directly interpolated the I'm Too Sexy chorus in her 2017 global smash, Look What You Made Me Do. With the Fairbrass brothers fully credited as songwriters on one of the biggest singles of that decade, Drake also sampled it. Beyoncé referenced it. And the brothers have never for a single moment been bothered by the one-hit wonder label. Richard Fairbrass, asked about it in interview after interview over 30 years, has answered the same way every time. It's better to be a one-hit wonder than a no-hit wonder. Anyone who says that and hasn't been number 1 in America can shove off. Number 2, Escape, the Piña Colada song, by Rupert Holmes, 1979. His real name was David Goldstein. He was born in England, trained at the Manhattan School of Music on clarinet, and spent nearly a decade as an invisible hitmaker. Writing songs for Barbra Streisand, producing sessions, making everyone else famous while his own records went quietly nowhere. Then one night in 1979, he was flipping through the Village Voice newspaper, saw the personals column, and built a 3-act story song around a couple so trapped in romantic routine that they both secretly placed ads looking for someone new, only to arrange a blind date and discover they'd been planning to cheat with each other. The chorus was originally going to be, "If you like Humphrey Bogart." Holmes had a known weakness for old movie references, until, standing at the microphone getting ready to sing, he changed it at the very last possible second to Piña Coladas, a drink he had never tasted, chosen entirely because the syllables fit and it sounded like a holiday. The record label refused to release the song under its original title, Escape, without the drink in the name. So Escape, the Piña Colada song, was born against Holmes's better instincts. shot up the Billboard Hot 100 in the final weeks of 1979, and became the very last #1 single of the entire decade. It was briefly knocked off the top spot by KC and the Sunshine Band in the first week of January 1980, then returned to #1 the following week, meaning Holmes can legitimately claim it topped the Billboard Hot 100 in 2 different decades, without ever fully stopping, making it the first pop song in chart history to achieve that specific milestone. Before this song existed, Piña Coladas were barely available in American bars. After it, you could get one anywhere in the country. Holmes went on to win 2 Tony Awards on Broadway for The Mystery of Edwin Drood, create a hit television drama series, and publish critically praised novels. A full, varied, creatively successful life that the vast majority of his listeners will never know anything about. And still, at every event, every introduction, every social encounter for the rest of his life, someone has leaned over and said, "Aren't you the Piña Colada guy?" He told an interviewer that if he ever saved an orphanage from a burning building and carried the last child out over his shoulder, as I stood there charred and smoking, they'd say, "Aren't you the guy who wrote the Piña Colada song? He still doesn't drink piña coladas." #1. Float On by the Floaters, 1977.
All women of the world.
Here is the most gently, beautifully bizarre #1 hit of the 1970s,
Now my name is Paul.
and possibly of all time. 4 men from Detroit stepped up to a microphone and introduced themselves, one by their astrological signs, before delivering what was essentially a spoken word pickup line to an imaginary woman. And it went to #1 in the United Kingdom and #2 in the United States, selling millions of copies and topping the R&B chart simultaneously. Float On by the Floaters opens something like this: "Aquarius, and my name is Larry. I'd like to talk to a Cancer lady and show her where it's at."
A woman who carries herself like
Then came Paul, the Pisces, then Ralph, the Libra, then Charles, the Leo,
Miss Universe.
each one with a sign, a name, and a silk-smooth 2-line romantic declaration, delivered with the kind of serene, unshakable confidence usually reserved for gods and very patient men.
And my name is Ralph.
The Floaters were a Detroit R&B group on ABC Records, and Float On was their only song to chart on the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at #2 in August of 1977, #1 on the R&B chart, and #1 in the United Kingdom, where it stayed for weeks. The song has no conventional chorus, no bridge, no real narrative structure. It's just a long, hazy, zodiac-themed declaration of romantic availability, set over a groove so warm and slow and effortless, it feels like lying in sunlight on water. There is nothing else that sounds like it, before or since. The song has been sampled and referenced across decades of R&B and hip-hop. It's been used in films and television, but most importantly,
And I like a woman.
if you played those first 4 seconds for anyone who heard it once in the late 1970s, they would close their eyes, get a specific look on their face, and say, with quiet certainty, "Aquarius, and his name is Larry." The Floaters never charted again. They had one moment.
You better flow with me now.
One perfect, unhurried, gloriously sincere moment. And what makes them #1 on this countdown is not how big they got,
Everything and everybody.
but how completely they captured a feeling that nobody else had even tried to name, and somehow made it #1 in 2 countries. and made it last 50 years, just by floating.